not only the fact that this tournament has produced some unpredictable moments, but there has been times where I think in this tournament we have seen that teams that after they lost their first game and that you could easily write them off of a bad performance that they got off to the MLS's back tournament, and that 2 games later they were able to move on into the next round and surprise everybody. And one of those teams is Sporting KC, who, remember how everybody was kind of panicking the fact that Sporting KC lost that opening game against Minnesota and that they weren't going to have Tim Melia for the next game. It was pretty much doom and gloom. And I even remember in the second game when they looked like they were on verge of an embarrassing 2-2 draw against a Rapids team that was down to 9 men. Everybody was about to write off Sporting KC. But to the credit of Sporting KC, they not only were able to find the winner in that game to pick up crucial 3 points, but they also pick up another crucial 3 points to pretty much top this group as they beat RSL in this game 2-0. Now, the goal scoring happened very early in this game, and if you were expecting the fact that you can afford to miss a couple of minutes because of the fact that this is a 9 a.m. kickoff or a 6 a.m. kickoff on the West Coast, then unfortunately you are going to miss the first goal. Because the first goal came just 51 seconds into the match as Johnny Russell scored from Polito, as that is actually the fastest goal from this tournament, and Polito would be a big part of these 2 goals that SKC would score in this game. Then there was a handball shout on Ilie, but nothing was given in that they didn't actually look at VAR. But pretty much throughout the rest of the first half, there wasn't really a lot of chances for both of these teams. And I think I said this in the preview where I thought this was going to be one of those games that there's not going to be a lot of action that is going to happen. And if you were expecting to see this game as a game that feature a lot of goals and there's going to be a lot of chances for both teams, I'm sorry to say that that is not going to be the case. And that it just seemed like when you look at most of these RSL games, they tend to try to kind of slow the games up and trying to kind of grind their weight in terms of getting all three points. And unfortunately, today they weren't able to do that, mainly because they went down so quickly in this game and conceding just 51 seconds into this one. Now, in the second half, Polito had a chance to give SKC a 2-0 lead as his volley was actually blocked off the line by Justin Merrim. But eventually, they did get that second goal in the 85th minute as Jerso would score from Polito to give SKC the second goal. That's Polito's second assist of the game, and I think he also won man of the match in this game, which rightfully so. He was a big part of both of the goals that Sporting KC scored in this one. But at the same time, take nothing away from what Jerso did here, where he just completely cut open the RSL defense and whack a very nicely hit shot about 18 yards out to pretty much put this game out of reach for RSL in this one. As in the end, SKC was able to get a 2-0 win over RSL. As the shots in this game, they had 10 shots compared to 5 that RSL has, 4 shots on goal compared to 1 that RSL had. Both teams have 2 shots off target, 4 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that RSL had, and possession-wise, 42% possession compared to 58% possession that RSL had in this game. And for Sporting KC, with this win, they of course top Group D, thanks to the loss that the draw that Minnesota had in tonight's game against Colorado. And for RSL, they also are going to be moving on into the next round as one of those best third place team, and they might be playing against the San Jose Earthquakes in the round of 16. And I'll tell you what, I'm definitely not looking forward to that game. Like, again, I really think that the way that RSL has been playing in these tournaments hasn't really been a game that, or haven't been really something that a lot of neutral would really love to see, but it's a very effective way of playing, and that they are able to move on into the next round. And I know whenever RSL does play against the Quakes, those games usually are very boring and just kind of very tight, where only one goal actually separated, and at times those games can get physical too. So I guess maybe the physical kind of aspect, if you like that kind of match, then maybe the RSL versus the San Jose Earthquakes in the round of 16 as a possibility could be the game for you, but we shall see whether or not if that is going to be the case. But moving on, in terms of the next match, is FC Cincinnati. And this is another team that everybody wrote them off back in the first match day. And that I did mention before that if you would have thought that FC Cincinnati, after that 4-0 loss against Columbus, that literally a couple of weeks later they will be at this point beating the Redbulls and getting 6 points to move on into the next round of this MLS's back tournament, you would call me just crazy, and I'm just a deluded fan that really wants FC Cincinnati to succeed. But here we are. FC Cincinnati, with this 2-0 win against the Redbulls, they of course secured that second spot in this game, and I thought this was just kind of a classic FC Cincinnati game, and that this is probably something that FC Cincinnati is going to go forward. And although at times I would say that this might not be effective when you're playing against a team that can actually finish chances and be a little bit more lethal going for on the attack, it's at least work in ways that are able to get them to pick up vital points during this group stage. Now, in the first half, for the first 15 minutes, again, there wasn't really a lot of chances from both of these teams, and that I thought the Redbulls, their ball movement looked very poor in this game, and this was going to be the case for them at least until the 85th minute mark. And I thought Cincinnati looked very disciplined on defense, and really, for these last two games, I thought they looked much better in terms of defending, and whatever Yapstam has done to that defense he's been working miracle in terms of that defense that just looked like they were absolutely hot garbage in that first night against Columbus, and that it looked like they were going to be en route to concede probably the most goal in this tournament out of any other team. Then the 43rd minute, Yaya Kubo scores his first ever MLS goal to give FC Cincinnati a 1-0 lead. Before it would be 2-0 in favor of FC Cincinnati in the second half, as Valo unfortunately scores an own goal for FC Cincinnati to make it 2-0 at that point. And again, even when the Redbulls were down 2-0, and that they got to realize that not only the fact that they need to now chase the game and potentially get a point to move on to the next round, but if they keep losing this game by 2-0, it's going to really hurt their goal differential. But yet, they just looked like there was just no urgency, and that they kind of looked clueless going forward on the attack. Now, that is not until the last 10 minutes of the game when they kind of finally figure out how to actually properly play a perfect ball in the final third. But Cincinnati, to their credit, they were able to hold on in this game. First, in the 81st minute, Teton was able to deny a chance that Long has to potentially get them back in the game. And then, again, the Redbulls, they really started to come alive and started to really test that Cincinnati back line. But again, that Cincinnati back line was able to hold on, and that Teton also made a couple of nice, decent save in the end of the game. And yeah, that is the final score of this game, as Cincinnati, as I said before, they are moving on into the next round of the MLS's back tournament. And in terms of shots in this game, I know it's kind of a little bit lopsided because of the fact that the Redbulls had a lot of shots. They had 19 shots compared to the 4 that FC Cincinnati has, but a lot of those 19 shots came near the end of the game when their attack finally kind of got clicking. But they only had 4 shots on goal compared to 2 that FC Cincinnati has. 9 shots off target compared to 2 that FC Cincinnati has. 6 shots that was blocked compared to none that FC Cincinnati has. And possession-wise, 68% possession compared to 32% possession that FC Cincinnati has. And not only the fact that FC Cincinnati is going to be happy with this victory, another team that's going to be happy with this victory is the Montreal Impact. Because with FC Cincinnati moving on into the next round, and that now we have 3 teams that is currently sitting in third place to have a total of 3 points. Montreal currently now owns the spot in terms of the best third place team that currently sits at 3 points, and that now they are going to be moving on into the next round. And Montreal is another team that you probably could have rode them off after that New England and TFC game, and yet they fought hard to get a crucial 3 points against DC, and they were rewarded by now moving on into to the next round, and that the Redbulls are now going to be joining their intercity rival New York City, to be really hoping that other teams in the other group are going to have teams that finish third place with 3 points, because if that is not going to be the case, then they are going to be eliminated, as those are the two teams that unfortunately did not finish as one of the best fourth or best third place team out of the sixth group out of this one. But moving on, in terms of the final game of the match, is probably the most entertaining game for the past couple of days, which is between the Rapids and the Loons. And something tells me this was going to be an entertaining game, because both of these teams, they kind of play a very similar style where they love to kind of counterattack each other. And from what I saw in this game, it looked like both defense just decided to take a night off in this one, because there were definitely a lot of chances in this game, and that this game could have easily gone a different way depending on who could potentially be a little bit more clinical near the end of the game. Now, there was no Kevin Molino in the starting 11 for Minnesota, and Molino actually didn't even came off the bench in this game, which I was kind of very surprised to see Molino not starting in this game. Like, I understand maybe Adrian Heath is thinking about resting him so that he will be fully fit by the time we get into the knockout stage. But at the same time, I just feel like, especially from what I saw in the first half, and at least for the first 30 minutes, we desperately miss Molino in terms of him basically dribbling defenders and going forward in the middle, because there's just multiple times where we just look so predictable, just going onto the wing, crossing the ball, and Colorado just had no problem in terms of dealing with that. Now, in the second minute, Metenier actually whacked a shot from 25 yards out, but unfortunately it was saved by Yarbrough, and that Metenier almost did something similar to what Russo did, and that is score an early goal in the game. Then Tyler Miller robbed Rubio in a after he had a free header, and this was a great save from Tyler Miller, who I thought he kind of had a inconsistent night, because there were times that he made some crucial save, but then there are times where I once again question some of the decision making that Tyler Miller did. And one of those situations is this goal we conceded in the 18th minute, when Kamara scores from Benazet after a rare bad giveaway from Ozzy Alonso, and that Miller, I don't know what he was thinking there, and that maybe he kind of caught into two minds, but he was actually sprinting like he was going to come off his line to get the ball, and then as soon as that ball passed to Kamara, he basically just stopped. Like, if you're a goalkeeper, you cannot do that where you just get caught into two minds, and that you basically allow the goal scored even a better chance to score a goal. Like, I swear, this is the second time that this has happened in this tournament, and I really hope that eventually the goalkeeper coach needs to tell him not to do this anymore, because this is just some of the things that just cannot happen with Tyler Miller, and that if Vita Manone was in goal last year, this kind of stuff would definitely not happen with some of the mistake that I've seen Miller did, and some of the decision making that he's been doing has been very questionable in this tournament. Now, in the 36th minute, Minnesota would get the equalizer, and it would be from Ethan Finley and Jan Gregush. Lovely delivery that was from Gregush, and that Finley kind of did a Andy Rios-esque kind of flick to the near post to basically give his team the equalizer. And then just 7 minutes later, he would give Minnesota the lead after he scored from Metenier and Gregush. And I thought both defense looked very vulnerable in this game, and this is going to be a continued theme in the second half, where I really thought that we were definitely not done in terms of the goal scoring department, and I was really hoping, if that is the case, I hope the Loons can potentially score a couple more goals, because I definitely did not trust the fact that we can hold on to a 2-1 lead with the way that our defense did in this game. And it turns out in the second half, we almost instantly gave up that 2-1 lead when Rubio was actually denied by the post. But eventually that lead was given away in the hour mark, as Jonathan Lewis was able to score that one. Again, I question maybe Tyler Miller could have done a little bit better. I mean, that volley that Lewis hit was very well struck, and that, sometime a goalkeeper, when he had to deal with a well struck ball, it's kind of tough to do it. But at the same time, knowing the fact that Miller hasn't really been consistent and that he's been having some bad moment, I don't know. I don't know if I'm being too harsh on him at that moment, and that he did kind of get a hand to it, but unfortunately he wasn't able to stop that one from going into the back of the net. But nevertheless, that was a great goal from Jonathan Lewis. But at the same time, pretty bad defending. The fact that we decided to let him wide open there after we tried to clear the ball away from a set piece. Now in the latter part of the game, I thought both teams continued to push for the equalizer. Oh, by the way, the Loons defending was pretty shambolic tonight. And I kind of feel like, coming into this tournament, I thought this kind of defensive performance was what I expected from the Loons, knowing the fact that Ike Opara is not at the back. And I can guarantee you, if Ike Opara was in this starting 11, there's no way in the world the Loons would be this bad in terms of defense. But because of the fact that he's not there, and that I just feel like this defense heading into this tournament is going to look something very similar to 2017 and 18. And so far, I've been very surprised that they have looked decent enough in the first two games. But then, yeah, this is kind of what I expected in the third game, where the defending was pretty shambolic and kind of reminds me a lot of what happened in 2017 and 2018, where we basically just giving up goals left and right and basically giving team many opportunity to potentially get a goal on us. But as I said, both teams really started to push for the equalizer, although I thought Minnesota had two big chances late in the game. First, it was from Gregush, his shot was just tipped over by Yarbrough. And then probably the biggest chance, and this one kind of really put, like, I was basically almost flip my chair backwards and kind of fall over, because I have no idea how did Raheem Edwards actually miss this sitter from 2 yards out. Like, he was basically wide open. He basically had a free header, and somehow in some way it came off his neck and goes over the bar, and that I thought that was probably the moment where we were going to have something similar to what we had in the first match day when we scored a late winner against Sporting KC, but it wasn't meant to be, as in the end this game would end up to be a 2-2 draw. And that the shots in this game, a ton of shots from both of these teams, 17 shots compared to 14 that Colorado has, 8 shots on goal compared to 5 that the Rapids has, 4 shots off target compared to 6 that the Rapids had, 5 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that the Rapids had, and possession-wise, 44% possession compared to 56% possession that Colorado had in this game. But nevertheless, if you were a neutral, this was definitely an entertaining game to watch. But if you were supporting one of these teams, you'll be kind of left a little bit disappointed the fact that you weren't able to get all 3 points. And especially in a Minnesota perspective, because of the fact that now we finished second in the group, we have to play against the Columbus Crew in the round of 16. And if this is kind of the performance we put up against the Rapids, and that we're going to do the same thing against Columbus, boy oh boy, don't expect Minnesota is going to go anywhere further than the round of 16, because we cannot defend like this against Columbus. They're going to completely rip up us to shed if that is going to be the defending that we did in this game against the Rapids. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of tonight. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 3 games. Tomorrow is pretty much the last day of the group stage, as we basically will have the last 3 games, and some of these games definitely have a lot of implication of not only who is going to be moving on into the next round and get those automatic top 2 spot, but also I'm pretty sure a lot of these teams that haven't moved on and currently are sitting in 3rd place are going to be keeping a very close eye on some of these games, because these are going to be the games that could pretty much determine who exactly is going to be advanced, and that by tomorrow night we will know exactly who is actually going to be moving on into the next round and who is going to be eliminated from this tournament. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for this video. Oh, speaking of elimination, Colorado, they are of course eliminated from this tournament, and they're the only team that got eliminated from today's action. But they kind of knew it when Sporting KC won their game, because them winning that one, it pretty much sealed the fate of the Rapids, and that they couldn't get anything more than 3 points, which is still not enough for them to get a third place spot in Group D. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.